Dear all, a very warm welcome to the Havells Insignia Presents edX, a series by Realty Plus Masterclass. edX Talks is a unique initiative dedicated to facilitate the development of an ecosystem for world-class designers in India. The one-of-a-kind architecture plus design talk show that aims to enable the process of collaboration with the best in the industry so as to position architects, designers, and manufacturers as partners offering complete solutions. So here we are. I am Sapna Srivastava, editor Realty Plus magazine, and let's begin with a brief introduction of Realty Plus.
Some people are born to show the world which path to choose in a crisis. Some brands are born to do the same. And during the times of challenge, the stalwarts of Indian real estate industry have chosen to do just that by showing others the way to finding opportunities even amidst a crisis. By showing the world how to go about delivering on promises even amidst adversity. Success doesn't just happen, it happens by design, by pushing the boundaries, by raising the bar. It's days of creating a vision and nights of bringing it to life. Knowing that pictures are worth 1,000 words and every word makes a difference. It's doing the research, trusting your instinct and finishing what you started. For the past 17 years, Realty Plus has been turning obstacles into opportunities, keeping the industry informed on the latest developments. Innovating to inspire debate and discussion. Bringing forth the perspectives of industry leaders. Honoring hard work and achievement. Keeping the industry connected. This is what we are built on. This is what we are building. We are Realty Plus, and we lead the way.
So this was a brief snippet of what Realty Plus is, its products and its initiatives. To know more about Realty Plus, do get in touch with Ms. Tripti Kedia, publisher and business head, Realty Plus at tripti@exchangeformedia.com. So now moving on to the program of the day, let me welcome Mr. Vivek Yadav, Senior Vice President, Havells India Limited, to share his views on this edX series presented by Havells Insignia. Friends, Mr. Yadav is an industry veteran with over 31 years of experience in electrical and automation, having worked in all domains from residential, commercial, industrial, and infrastructure. He has extensive experience in products and solutions from circuit protections in low voltage and medium voltage to automation in industries and homes. Mr. Yadav is currently heading Havells domestic circuit protection, electric wiring accessories, and home automation business, along with projects and enterprise business, which cuts across all business verticals in Havells. So Mr. Yadav, I hand it over to you now.
Okay, thank you, Sapna. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here on this platform again today. This is our 8th episode, and we have a another eminent personality from the industry to talk to us on the subjects that we bring on this platform again and again. Before that, we move to what this program is all about. I think it'll be interesting for every one of us to know more about Havells. Generally, Havells known to people from our media presence that we have, both in electronics and print, and on the street when people go and see, largely associated with consumer products. But Havells is not just consumer products that people know, fans or wires. It is also about a lot of other products which touch people's lives, whether they are at home or whether they are working in offices or anywhere outside in the infrastructure development that is taking place in the country. Why don't we have the short AV that we have prepared, and we put it up for our audience to see.
For more than 6 decades, Havells India Limited has been focusing on building a better future. A future where technology is used to drive progress, improve business outcomes, and create a better quality of life. Today, Havells stands tall in the FMEG sector as a major power distribution equipment manufacturer with a strong global footprint, owing to its innovative future-ready products for a wide spectrum of applications. With the acquisition of Lloyd in 2017, Havells has made a foray into high-potential consumer durable segment with offerings of air conditioners, LED televisions, washing machines, refrigerators and dishwashers. The new synergy further complements the brands deeper into homes. Havells owns some of the most prestigious global brands like Crabtree, Lloyd, Standard and Rio. Its global network constitutes over 5,000 professionals across its offices. As part of its Make in India philosophy, Havells is manufacturing 97% of its products in-house. With 14 state-of-the-art, fully automated manufacturing plants located across India, Havells offers superior quality and globally benchmarked products to its customers. Havells has set up a large distribution network to set new benchmarks in prompt delivery and service to customers. Over 11,000 dealers, 150,000 retailers and 700 plus Havells Galaxy exclusive brand showrooms across the country are helping customers to choose from its wide range of products. Havells has a robust supply chain management system with 31 warehouses located pan-India. The meticulous forecasting and demand planning delivers seamless tracking system. Havells is the first FMEG company to offer doorstep service, offering a seamless post-purchase experience. It has the largest service network with 800 plus service points covering 441 towns 24/7 across India. Havells Center for Research and Innovation, CRI, at Noida, with a team of highly qualified engineers and designers, continuously work towards creating differentiated and innovative products while adhering to stringent quality norms at par with international standards. Havells products are certified by nationally accredited laboratories such as CPRI and ERDA. Havells has a strong in-house IT vertical which develops innovative technology platforms to support its robust service and supply chain management system. Growing together is ingrained in the ethos of Havells and has resulted in it launching many innovative and profitable schemes for its dealer community. Havells has strong credentials in B2B and large government projects as well, such as lighting up Kolkata railway station and partnering with NBCC India Limited to beautify and transform the night view of India's heritage monuments like Humayun's tomb, as it believes in the philosophy of spearheading the progress of the nation without ignoring the past. Havells has taken giant strides to create an innovative world full of possibilities, not only for itself, but also for all its channel partners and customers. With a commitment to improve people's lives and help create a better global society, Havells is inspiring the world and making a difference.
Okay, so you saw the wide array of products that Havells makes, also our manufacturing, design, strength, and the customer service. While we take all these products to customers, the most important element in this is the people who influence the decision making for the customers. Our designers, architects who design those beautiful buildings, premises for the consumers who occupy those spaces, who use those spaces. It's very important for a company like us to associate. So a year back, we decided that we need to, work on a platform where we can get them on board and, create an infrastructure where they share their ideas. From Havells side, we come together and collaborate with them and engage them to get the audience, the experiences, the installations which are created, what's unique in them, and how those installations can be created to the world-class level. The architects come here on this platform and showcase their work, their design philosophy, and talk to them. So this overarching program that we are driving is called Havells Insignia. And under the Havells Insignia, using the 4I framework of incubation, interaction, influence, and innovation, we're driving a lot of other initiatives. edX is one such initiative where it's about experiential knowledge sharing with the right audience. There are other programs also running in the company where we address particularly lighting as a subject. We call lighting designers, and there also we invite the community and the customers to see what is the best in the industry, what are the latest trends coming up. In this series, our audience will also see a lot of other things apart from the platform that we've created for edX. There will be programs like creating white papers, creating yearbook, creating contests, and awards, all addressing this community of designers. You will see when you interact more and more with us, and you see more and more of such programs, you will see how we are making progress in enriching and engaging this community of designers. So this is what the overall program is, and I would request Sapna to take this forward and focus on the program that we have today.
Thanks, Mr. Yadav, for sharing that brief on not only the Havells products, but also the knowledge sharing initiatives that the organization is taking for the betterment of the entire community. So thanks for setting the tone of the day also for today's session. So let's bring on stage the star of the day. As Mr. Yadav mentioned, we have a very eminent speaker joining us, Mr. Architect Dinesh Verma, Principal Architect and Managing Director, ACE Group Architects Private Limited. He is here with us. Let me give a brief introduction of our eminent speaker. Architect Dinesh Verma is a versatile technology leader who started ACE Group Architects in Bangalore in 1984. His interest in large span structures are seen in his impressive portfolio of IT complexes, convention halls, industries and auditoriums, commercial, residential, and institutional projects across entire India. Over the years, Dinesh Verma's focus and involvement has developed into an unmatched expertise in educational architecture. In his 30 years of architectural practice, he has designed more than 80 schools, 8 engineering colleges, 3 greenfield universities, and 2 brownfield universities. His designs are environmentally conscious, and he has certified platinum and gold-rated projects by IGBC to his credit. So this is our eminent architect, Dinesh Verma. Thanks for being here with us, Architect Verma, and let me hand it over to you now.
Thank you, Sapna. Thank you, Mr. Yadav. It's great to be on this platform, and I really feel great. Yes, I'm here today with you all to share my experiences and just discuss as to what we are doing with technology and what technology is doing with us. So let me start my sort of sharing my views with you. So today we are discussing something as to what are the design strategies for a smart, sustainable and action-packed technology system, and what we people as designers look forward to, or what do we avoid, or how do we maneuver through all our building systems to see that we get the best of technology into the building. Also, what is happening is that there is a continuity in the philosophy of designing. At the same time, there is a continuous development of technology. How do we actually merge the two? Various technologies which have erupted over the past so many years have not been building specific, but over a period of time, we have found that they can be very well used in building technologies. Similarly, there will be a lot of other things which we found which were used for the building, but they are not really useful and they are wasteful. So let us take this and analyze it further as to what is continuously changing us, what is continuously changing this world, and what is continuously changing the building technology. After analyzing and then going through a couple of snippets from the net, everybody says that the change is happening because of one word, which is called technology. And it is a technology which is making this entire world into a smaller living space. It has already made our community at the right time. We don't even waste a single second in shifting any news or any matter from one point to another. But what was very surprising and what came out of all these discussions was something which said that educators are preparing students for a world of technology that doesn't even exist yet. Now, isn't that scary? What are we looking forward to the next generation as? Are we getting too much into the blind spot? We are preparing for students. We are preparing the entire next generation for a technology which doesn't exist. When I saw this, I was personally scared because we do not know as to what the students of today and the professionals of tomorrow would be doing to the entire humanity with whatever technology they are coming in for. Because as we all know, it can be used in a useful way and also it can be used dangerously. Well, for this we need to wait and move further as to how the educationalists and the technologists weave the way for the students further. And further when we go, as we analyze this continuously changing world, one more thing which we have realized is that this change of technology is fast progressing and is moving faster and faster. Just to give you an example, in 1890s, we developed the first switch. It was in metal. And it took all the way up to 1940 for the metal to move out to something which was bakelite. And from there, another so many years for the switch to change its form. You can understand, how the technology time is happening. And the only safety thing which we had was the ceramic fuse. To sum this up, it has taken 65 years for this technology to move from 1890 to 1995, just for the initial part of the switches. And mind you, it is a switch which changed, not the technology. The technology was still wired. What was behind the switch was still the same. But now when we look at things and we see as to what is happening further, we have in around 1990s the touch switch. We then moved on to some wireless switches. And now in 2012, we have the Wi-Fi switch. Further from the Wi-Fi, we are moving on to the voice control switches. You see the speed at which the technology is moving? 67 years just for the toggle switch to become into a piano switch. And in another 22 years, we have changed the way a switch will be operated or how the lights and things in your house or wherever will be put on and off. And mind you, it's not only just the switch. It is the entire technology which is behind the switch. We have now become wireless. From a 220 volt to 12 volts, from 12 volts to 9, and now we do not need a wire. So this is what I'm trying to say is the speed at which technology is moving. And this speed, let me tell you, is increasing. What is happening today, what is in vogue today, is definitely going to be obsolete tomorrow. And that is something very scary. It's the speed of technology development and the end product, what it sort of gets in, somehow does not blend or overlap with the building life. What I'm trying to say is that the life of the technology is limited, whereas the life of the building is about 90 years, 100 years, or even more. So how do we blend these two things together? It's a big, big question mark for the designers. You are changing technology day after day, and the building is still the same. So how can we make the buildings more receptive? And is it possible or not? So theoretically, if you conclude on this, you will realize that the building will never have the latest. Because by the time the building is constructed, a new technology is always there. It's already existing. And if you want to put in something else into it, you need to leave so much of space, or you need to pre-plan as to how do we bring in newer technology into old buildings. So that is what I'm focusing on today, as to how the smart buildings can be more adaptable in a shorter span of time. Smart technology should be sustainable and should be active. That is true. So personally speaking, in my office, we sort of thought about it and we divided this entire thing into two types. One is what we call it the simple technology, and one is the advanced technologies. Most of the people today, when they talk of design strategies, when we talk of the principles of this continuously changing thing, we focus on advanced technologies. But we have been in this office talking of simple technologies which have just a single point, simple formula for the power, HVAC or the pH requirements for the public buildings. For the personal buildings, yes, we go ahead with the smart technologies, we go ahead with the Alexas, we go ahead with all these. And there's a reason behind it, because smart technologies or the advanced technology which I'm talking about, there is one person or one family who's controlling it. Unlike a public building where it needs a lot of people to come together. And if in the long run, we keep the technology simple and straightforward, it's easy for them to make a change. So, as what I mentioned, my strategy is to believe in a simple technology, and in the public designs, that is what I'm looking forward to. Today in the discussions, what I'm going to say, and we are not going to talk about those technologies which have been avoided. For example, there was a school which we were doing, and it's one of the most well-known schools in the country today. We call the Indus International, being done in Bangalore, where we discussed a lot about air conditioning. But we proved it to the clients, we convinced them, this in a place like Bangalore, we can design the project in such a way that you will not need air conditioning. And we came up with a plan that every classroom had cross ventilations. And mind you, this is not the corridor side of the classroom. So we have been doing these type of innovative works, even for IT companies, where we worked out in a particular company a way that, yes, throughout the day, in an air-conditioned environment, you will not need artificial lighting. We kept the base in such a way that everything was about 9 to 12 meters so that natural light would come from the sides. These type of things have been going on in this office for quite some time. But that is avoiding technology. Today, what I'm going to discuss and what I'm going to showcase to you all is how do we use technology and consume less rather than avoiding it totally. This is what is, according to me, the future of buildings. Let's look at this campus which we did a long time back called the CMRIT. 8-acre project, not a very large built-up area. But what was interesting in it was that when we did this, there was my connection. Just give me a minute. The view of the campus, which is central this thing. And around this time, we realized that for designing a campus, the technology which we need is large span. We came up with these buildings where the campus, the span between the columns was as high as 33 meters for multi-story buildings. And on top of this, we had the auditorium, which was created in a manner that it is an RCC building with 100 feet diameter. What is very interesting about this auditorium is the way we incorporated all the technologies. As you notice, the entire lighting system of the auditorium was only on the walls. There were no surface which was there. There is no problem of doing any maintenance. You don't need to go above the false ceiling. We don't need to have tall lighting ladders and things and all. But what was more interesting was the way we did the air conditioning. Another view of the same auditorium. What we did was that when we designed this auditorium, the entire air conditioning came from the floor. And the air conditioning, the way it was designed, was that the air conditioning vents from the floor would bring the air conditioned air, which will be sucked onto the sides. And finally, only the lower 10 feet or 3 meters of the entire auditorium was cold air. The rest of it on top was warm. Only the human interface side part of it was the cold air. Now, a very simple thought, which we did almost about 20 odd years back, has resulted in saving enormous amount of power, not only in its raining, but even the requirement of the air conditioning, the total load, that also went down. This, I would say, is something which is using technology in a way that, yes, it is going to be simple. It is something which is manageable. It is something which they do not mind using it also again and again because the bills are very less. And we are saving 1/3 of the air conditioning by not air conditioning those areas which are totally avoidable. This is what I've been trying to say, that according to me, using technology is how to save, how to consume less, and take the buildings further. Let's see the next project, which is the VIT campus. It's a 120-acre project which we have done in Chennai. It has a large built-up area, and its completion has taken a couple of years, and it is gold rated project. What is interesting in this place? I'll show you a couple of slides. You notice the number of ponds. And Chennai. So I was talking about the Chennai project in the VIT University, what we have done. It's a large area. And what is interesting about this is two things, the way we have incorporated technology. One is the type of technology which has gone into the non-building things. For example, this is the main entrance. And when the students get in, the RFID takes over. So they know exactly that inside the campus at any time, how many students are there, what is the number, where each student is. We even did some experiments as to how attendance can be taken for the entire bus load of students when they enter inside. What is more interesting is that Chennai being Chennai, it is a sultry place, it's a warm and humid climate, and we wanted air conditioning. The air conditioning was also to be designed in such a way that they will have it only where required, not in the entire building. So we came up with a very interesting concept of district cooling, where air conditioning was generated in just 2 or 3 places at the entire 125 acres and piped to all these buildings. And there were vertical risers so that wherever they want, in whichever floor they want, they can have the air conditioning done without putting any additional outdoor equipment. Now, it being a university campus, it was also very clear and evident that they need air conditioning in these classroom areas, academic areas, administrative areas in the daytime. And they need air conditioning in the night time in the hostels. So the system was worked in such a way that the same system was divided into 70-30. 70% of the air conditioning was moving towards the academic areas in the daytime. 30% toward the hostels because some students may still be there. In the night, there was a switchover where the air conditioning was more toward the hostels, and 30% balance will be in the academic areas because some labs, some library, certain places, computer systems and all will still be on. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the way we work with technology is in a very simple manner, but it's very, very effective. This campus had a road network of about 4 kilometers. We tried hard to see as to how we can illuminate the entire roads in case of power failure. Finally, when we did this study, we realized that Chennai is just on the border line of the air or the wind velocity map of India. It is not good enough for large, very effective. So the entire campus has been put with these small turbines, as what you see on the screen. It's all over. Every pole is independent. It has a small turbine on the top with the solar panel below. So in days where there is a nice sunlight, the lights are on. And on those days which are heavily clouded, where the solar doesn't take over, you have the turbines which keep on moving and they provide the required light. Something very simple. And because of this, you do not need to put on the generators in the night for safety and security. And your place is very nicely lit and illuminated throughout the night. You see the thing it is? Now, this is what I say is using technology to the advantage of the building system in a very, very simple and a straightforward manner, without complicating it beyond a particular point. Sorry. As what I mentioned, no DG is required, and this is advantage of smart technology, latest technology of wind combining with solar and using it throughout the campus for the advantage of the campus. Let me take you further to this. I'm just going to give you some numbers now, because I just told you what is the air conditioning, how it goes off for district cooling. This particular campus in Tirupati, it is hot, it is dry, and there's no way you can do without air conditioning. If you're just stepping out of the building in the sun, you will start sweating. So concept where we have a nice landscape campus, but as what we had discussed before, we have done system on one side. In the campus, you will notice you have all the buildings in one straight line, and we put the chillers in one place and just kept the chill water piping moving to all the buildings. Now, what happens is, instead of taking small units for every building, and here is the comparison for that. The total tonnage, what we would have used if you're using small individual cooling, to the total tonnage here, you can see the variation. And the power required for the small units is much more higher than the power required for the larger units. And you can see the mighty saving from 1650 kilowatts to 800 and odd kilowatts. And this is what I say is how we can, consume less for a technology, for a building, and make it sustainable and make it active. This switching over also happens between day and night, because you have the hostels in the day, in the night time, and the other requirement of your AC in the daytime. Technology for me has not been only in the electrical, air conditioning and these type of systems. Building technology also has materials which come in from time to time, and we as designers try to use these materials, make the building more effective, make the building more latest, and then see that to how we can create a wow factor in our designs. So this is one project which we have done in Mysore, which came out very different. You see the entire trapezium, what you see in front, is about 20,200 square feet of digitally printed glass, which is the facade of the building as you see from here. But the uniqueness of this technology and the way we designed it was that let us look at the technology where we use the minimum amount of material and bring out the maximum out of it in design. We use this glass as false ceiling. We use the same thing as its electrical lighting, and we create an environment inside the entire convention hall in a manner which is getting you the wow. the entire digital printing, the process which came out, and the way we took out this, we took advantage of this in the design of our building, where no two glasses or glass pieces were of the same type. Normally, when you do some printing, you'll try to repeat. Here, there's nothing like a repetition also. And you have an excellent view both in the daytime as well as in the night time. This is an example what we have done, where we have used technology to a large extent, something which was not meant for buildings. Digital printing was not meant for buildings, but we came across it, we found about it, and then we have used it in a very different manner. It is something which everybody has been looking around, and to take care of as to how we consume less as far as the air conditioning and all is concerned. One was the orientation. But when you have an inclined surface, even to the best of orientation, you are going to get some part of the sunlight inside. So what we did was that we had these, moving shades, which you can see on the right side of the photograph. And these moving shades will go up and down as what is required in whichever panel you want. So this way what is happening is that whichever panel you are having the sunlight coming in, you can just close that particular panel so that your efficiency of the air conditioning inside goes up tremendously. You can see this. So I'm just directly giving you examples of how in our office we have used technologies to the advantage of the buildings, not by avoiding it, but by using it in a meticulous manner, by using it in a very simple manner. And that simplicity brings in the design element, and the simplicity brings us as to how we can consume less and still it be effective. This is what I wanted to showcase in the entire thing today, as to how we use single technologies, how we use simple technologies to see that we save on energy and we incorporate in our designs. To end my talk, this is what, the view of the thing in the night. A single element design is what I said. One glass which is printed and just kept. And to end with, I would just bring in this. There's a long odd saying which says, too much of everything is bad. If that is true, does it apply to technology also? And if it applies to technology, we need to then discuss about it and think as to what and how we should move further. Let's start the discussion. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity given to me to explain as to how we in our office move our design strategies for smart and sustainable buildings.
Thanks, Architect Verma. That was, very correctly you mentioned that it's not the technology which is right or wrong, good or bad, but it is the application what decides how technology works. And like you showed in your presentation also, the speed with which the technology is changing, it's quite amazing. And, we humans have to catch up with that. So thanks for that wonderful presentation. Mr. Yadav is also here with us. You saw that presentation and how technology from a simple switch, in almost like 100 years, how it has changed. So giving us, the perspective of as a manufacturer, as a product and a solution provider, how the products, can be part of buildings for energy efficiency, as Architect Verma also spoke about in his presentation. Mr. Yadav.
Yeah, Sapna, thanks. Very pertinent question in today's times. As we saw from Architect Dinesh Verma's presentation, we know that technology is changing at a blistering pace. We have so many examples in front of us, be it in the use of day-to-day appliances, mobile phones, the technology for construction, the technologies used for making life easy for occupants of buildings is really changing very fast. And also, I think what is changing fast is the use of energy. The quantum of use of energy is also changing very, very fast. All these buildings that we occupy, be it residential or commercial buildings, I think they account for almost 50% of the total energy consumption that is done. So it becomes collective responsibility of the people who manufacture products using various technologies, the influencers, how the use of energy can be minimized in those buildings. And we all know that the carbon footprint is what is making the climate change a reality. Whatever we're witnessing today, like what is happening in Chennai today, and the flash floods that we've seen not only in our country, in various other countries, it's a reality. You can't turn a blind eye to this fact today. So it's a collective responsibility of manufacturers like us and designers to implement technologies which of course create lesser carbon footprint or zero carbon footprint, and also at the same time make life of the occupants, the people who occupy those buildings, use those buildings. I mean, you stay at home, 7-8 hours you spend at home, or 12 hours you spend at home, the balance 12 hours you spend at the workplace. So these are the places which have to become more and more easy to use, friendly, comfortable. But with all this also, they have to become almost zero carbon footprint places. So how that will become a reality? That will become a reality when we use the right material, when you use the right technology to create buildings which so-called, everyone says smart. But what is smart? At the end, the smartness is about carbon footprint. Yeah, smartness is about the simplicity of use and the efficiency of use for the users. So from Havells side, as a manufacturer, I mean, we manufacture various products. So this is at the core of our philosophy, that the products that we use, they have to consume lesser energy, be it our lighting products or be it the appliances that we make. I mean, they are to the latest standards, the Indian standards or international standards, and comply to all the ratings that the government is evolving, the Bureau of Energy Efficiency that they are evolving, those 5-star rating, be it a fan or be it a water heater. All our lighting products also, we keep this at the back of the mind. And at the same time, as I said, I mean, the products have to be such that they are, convenient and easy to use for the consumers. Most of the products, like, it should be plug and play. So we keep these things in mind, and we move with the times, continuously investing in technology, continuously investing in people who are at the forefront of the knowledge. And that's why we not just have futuristic R&D centers. We also have department which generally people outsource, the product design department. And we have a large product design department where we conceive designs of products, not just those designers' ideas, but we go to people. We regularly go to people, consumers, influencers, take their feedback and build into those products. So there are numerous products which Havells has through our display centers. As you would have seen in the video, over 700 brand stores that we have across countries where consumers can go and witness those products, all consumer facing and even industrial products. We've created recently a state-of-the-art design center, an experience center in heart of Delhi. It's a large space where people can walk in, designers can walk in, and actually touch and feel the products and see what Havells is creating. So my purpose of saying this is that we realize the importance of creating smart buildings. I'm using the word smart, but whatever I said, right from energy to the usage by the people, it has to be holistic, 360-degree smart. We realize that importance and we create our solutions keeping that in mind.
Okay, fantastic. You rightly said manufacturers, designers, people, the end users, everyone will have to work together if there is, energy efficiency we want to achieve. And in fact, at COP26, Prime Minister has set the milestone of 2070 to reduce the carbon emissions. So we have that target at hand, and building and construction industry is going to play a very major role in achieving those targets. Architect Verma, coming to you, you have spoken about how technology should be simple in its use. It should address the needs of the consumers or the end users. As a designer, what do you feel are some of the challenges that the design community feels when you are adopting new systems, new technologies, and syncing it with the designs?
Well, one of the biggest challenges that by the time we think of adopting a technology, we already foresee another new technology coming in. So we are not very sure as to should we stop here, or we need to leave some more leverage for it to have some more space left for the newer technology to come in. As I mentioned, the life of the building is really large, whereas the life of your technology is very, very small. Mr. Yadav did point out that yes, the technologies are more suitable for mobile phones or for cars, which have a lifespan of 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. So the question is as to how do we adopt such fast-moving technologies onto a product like a building which has a lifespan of 80 to 100 years. And irrespective of whatever may be our forethought, I don't think it is humanly possible to look into anything beyond 5 to 10 years today in today's moving technology. So that is the biggest fear I have while designing something where people say that let us have the latest.
Mm-hmm. That's right. The latest keeps changing, keeps getting upgraded.
Yes.
Yeah. Mr. Yadav, would you like to pitch in something here? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I was, being in the industry for such a long time, it's almost 32 years now. So I have often faced these questions when we pitch in, solutions to, consultants and architects that, how you'd be able to service it, what, if the upgrades come, how will you be able to address? Is the technology scalable? Whatever you are, addressing. So worked in the domains in my past career of, even building management systems, lighting automation, so all those areas. So when people, talk about that, as Architect Verma said, that the life of building is, pretty large. And during this span, the technologies evolve. Of course, that limitation will always remain with the people who design those buildings. So you need to design keeping a big time frame in mind. And when you choose technology, you have to associate with people. You have to associate with companies. You have to associate with the technology, which will provide upgrade, which will keep it to a level where it would be in tune with the recent trends. So it's a difficult question. It's not easy, and it's a difficult choice. But at the same time, we cannot deprive the people who are using them at present of the technological advantage and the benefits which come in from there. But yes, I do agree that the designer, when he chooses a particular technology, he has to evaluate it thoroughly, that how it will go to sustain over a period of time in terms of scalability and upgradation.
Okay, that's right. So that's a tough balance for the designers and architects in terms of design and technology in their buildings. Architect Verma, you gave us example of a lot of your institutes, large scale projects. So what has been your tech mantra, in terms of energy efficiency, in terms of sustainability, in terms of comfort and convenience? You spoke about RFID technology you had in one of your institute. So when you are integrating technology and design, what is your mantra that you have in your mind?
Well, one thing which, I should thank the people who are in the technology is that there's a lot of simplicity which is sort of getting into technology. For example, wire systems are becoming wireless. Now, I call it, it's not only just problem solving, but it's a big solution. So integrating something today becomes much more easier because of these type of technologies which are coming in also. But say for me, the moment we talk of an institute, now all the classrooms, for example, are becoming smart classrooms. Each classroom today needs to have all the smartness where a teacher can come with any book or without anything, just put in the laptop, connect it, access whatever search engine he wants to, and then start teaching. We have all classrooms today which have all types, you have the audio, video, this thing, everything. Gone are the days where we were talking blackboards. Gone are also the days where we used to have projectors. Today we have smart screens in most of the classrooms. When smart screens came in, they solved one more problem for us. That is that now we do not need to make the classroom dark, because till we had the projectors, the classrooms had to be made darker, otherwise the visibility was not good. So there have been a lot of benefits also of the technology coming in. One by one, they solve the problem of the people also. So this way we are very happy to incorporate all the technologies. Now, for example, in Meghalaya, we are doing an institute where security and safety is a major issue. Parents will not let your kids go to the school unless and until there are certain amount of safety security arrangements. Will you believe it that we had a system there incorporated where in the beginning of the year, the parents need to give 5 different palm prints of people who will come to the school and pick up the kid. And the school already had the palm prints of the children. So in the evening, there's a collection area where the students are there and the messenger also comes in to pick up the kid. And while going out, both of them need to scan their palm prints at the same time. If they don't do it together, or if it is one of the palm prints which has not been given in the beginning, the gates won't open. So we have all types of technologies which are coming in, some for security, safety reasons, some for the technological teaching reasons, some for the books and the library reasons, where people want to know which book is where, whether it is there in the library or not. So there are various types of technologies which we deal through.
Okay, so that's right. So designers are also now, changing with the demand of, the kind of demand the buildings and the users are putting onto them, the technology integration, what architect Dinesh Verma has just informed us here. Now, one question that comes, often to us is smart, sustainable. Does smart building mean sustainable building? Or, is that true, architect Verma? Is it necessarily, if a building is smart, it is also sustainable?
No, see, the building need not be smart, but it still can be sustainable. But if it is smart, it is definitely sustainable.
Okay. Okay. So if you are making a smart building, it by default has to be sustainable and resource efficient. So one last question that I ask to both our speakers is, now people are saying smart is also old news. It is the intelligent buildings. which can, which are dynamic in their nature. So, Mr. Yadav, what do you have to say? Is smart passe and now the intelligent buildings are the future?
You see, when I was talking about, a great balance between, creating zero carbon footprint and also keeping in mind the users, this definitely has to go to the next level. And when you are saying that, building is, sustainable, smart, intelligent, it's sum total of everything and, going to the next level. So I will just define what the next level could be. I am an occupant, let's say in a building, I reach there, the door recognizes me, and he also, the door and the system recognizes that, I sit at a particular place. So of course it marks my attendance. And as I move, all the areas which I am moving in, it recognizes that, and those areas start to become lit. Okay. And they become lit. My room lighting gets accommodated to a level where, they know that, what kind of lighting I need. It's been defined, the kind of work that I do, and lighting adjusts accordingly. So, these are just few examples that I'm giving. There are various other use cases in a building which can become, and it can, of course, as I said, when the systems recognize, when the air conditioning recognizes, when the lighting recognizes the need, it is switched on and used optimally to that extent. So carbon footprint reduces, the person's efficiency in his work area, that improves, the quality of his work output, the comfort, all that goes up. So this is what intelligent building is. Yeah. So these are smaller examples, and of course, as I said that as manufacturers, we have to work towards developing these kind of technologies. So we work on wireless technology where our standalone products are becoming intelligent. They are IoT enabled, can be controlled through voice, through mobile phone, and physically when you are present there. We have network systems, connected systems for lighting, for our appliances, which can be incorporated in building designs. They can communicate with the integrated building management system. So these are some of the examples where we as manufacturer feel responsible, and as buildings are becoming intelligent and smart, so we have to participate there, and we are doing our bit to work on those technologies and bring them to our consumers, and also tell the influencers that Havells is here. Please use our products.
That's right. So it's a all stakeholders have to work together. As architect Dinesh Verma mentioned, the entire scenario where in one of the states, safety and security is one big challenge, and how designers have created the building and the technology providers have provided the right set of technology to the designers to bring the right result or the product to the end users. So architect Dinesh Verma, how do you see the future for buildings? Is it intelligent buildings, and what are the technologies that you think are going to be the game changer for the building industry?
See, one of the things which has happened in the past, I would say 2 decades, in our country especially, is that people have started trusting technology. There was a time before that when people would not trust technology. Even a simple technology like lift in the building was not trusted upon. People in apartments will buy the lower floors because they were very sure that after some time the lift is not going to work. This has been a major change. Now, since we trust technology, we are sure about it, and we also know in case of no power, there's a backup. The same people who never trusted the lift, now they are ready to buy apartments which are on the 30th, 50th floor. So that has been a major game changer as far as the building technology is concerned. And when you trust something, you move with it. Right. As long as the mistrust is there, you will not work with it. So since now there has been a trust which has been established between the technologists and the building people, and we know that yes, there are people like like groups like Havells which can be trusted, and their products are going to last. And if anything happens, they are there with us. There will be a good movement. Let me give you a very simple example of using something which was not a trustable one. And I'm talking of a time when, the remote switches had just sort of come in. About maybe 15 years back, we were doing a bungalow, and this was one of the unbranded things. So we brought in, and the master bedroom had all types of fancy gizmos with remote lighting. Well, during the day of the big show, the Grah Pravesham was done, everything was done, and the husband and wife, they go back in the night, they want to sleep, and they are fiddling with that remote, and they are not able to put off the lights. And it was a major catastrophe. Finally, what they had to do, they had to call the servant and remove all the bulbs. So what I'm trying to tell you is that there is technology which we need to trust. And in the market, in the builders market, in the architects market, designers market, we have also realized that this trust can be built only with companies which have a standing, which have a backing, and which are there everywhere. Not with companies which are just run by the night or overnight, and then they are nowhere to be seen. The other thing, like what I would say, what is happening is there's a continuity in the technology, what is happening. And we know very well that now there are systems where you can always upgrade, make it more efficient, plug in the thing, because the company behind all the technology is still there. Otherwise, buying something on and off and just waiting for the new technology to come, then you take out, rip off everything and then change it. That was the big worry in the previous decade. Yeah. So now bungalows, for example, they are full of technology. And what you are doing, they are, Alexa is working, they take care of your curtains, they take care of your TVs, whatever you say is done. So I would say, yes, we as designers, we need to be with technology. We need to study and we need to be next. And that is what will take the building industry further.
That's right. It's a two-way journey where the architects and designers need a trusted partner for the technology in their buildings, and the manufacturer or the solution providers need influencers to correctly apply their technologies and solutions. So it's a both way. I think the journey for both the stakeholders, and obviously the win-win is for the end users when all the things come together. So thank you so much for taking those questions. We have many other questions with us, but because of the scarcity of time, we will not be able to take it, but we will take it offline with you, Architect Dinesh Verma. Let me now bring in Mr. Remel Behel, Head for Enterprise Business, Havells India Limited, to give the thank you note of the day and summarize the session for us today. Mr. Behel is the Head for Enterprise Business and engages with architects, consultants, interior designers, industry, government infrastructure, and key commercial project stakeholders. He's an electrical engineer with 26 years of experience in the electrical industry and expertise in enterprise solutions, business development, strategic planning, and sales. Mr. Behel, I hand it over to you now to give us, you had been listening to the entire conversation. So what is your view on that?
Yeah, thank you, Sapna. First of all, on behalf of Havells, it's an honor and privilege for me to propose a vote of thanks for our honored guest, Architect Dinesh Verma. And, your emphasis on the simple technology and the combining the speed of technology with the life of building is very, very relevant in today's scenario. And your vast experience on working on the various projects which combine technology with aesthetics, where you highlighted some examples like CMRIT, BIT Chennai campus, are very, very relevant. Especially your example of combining solar and wind technology in the street lighting example was really an eye opener. Your philosophy of keeping technology simple, I think, is really a highlight of the day. Let's have technology, but keep it simple. And really, each one of your projects has been an opportunity to create an experience for everyone. Especially the example of Spectra Mysore Convention Hall was really, unique. And we at Havells are also committed to providing the, energy efficient electrical products and solutions for such world-class projects that push the boundaries of architecture as well as technology. And the way you explained the use of sustainable technology in your projects with focus on energy conservation was exemplary. We at Havells have the philosophy of working in close collaboration with our clients, partners, and stakeholders to together achieve a successful as well as a sustainable outcome. So and last but not least, I would like to thank all the honorable participants who have taken time out for participating in this edX series. I would also like to thank the organizing team. Thank you so much and have a great day ahead.
Thanks, Mr. Bahl, for summarizing the session and expressing that note of appreciation and sincere thanks on behalf of Realty Plus and Havells India. Mr. Yadav, thanks to you also for being part of this discussion and sharing your views as a solution provider. But once again, thank to our speaker of the day, Architect Dinesh Verma, Principal Architect and Managing Director, ACE Group Architects Private Limited. He joined us from Bangalore and sharing his knowledge with the design fraternity. Some very pertinent topics that you raised, some very pertinent issues that you highlighted in your presentation and in your discussion. So thanks, Architect Dinesh Verma, for that. And also to our awesome audience for being here, joining us and sending in their questions. So do keep watching this space as we bring to you yet another acclaimed design expert. But for now, thank you, Architect Dinesh Verma, so much. Thanks, Vivek Yadav, for being here, and Remel Bahel for being part of this session. So till we meet again, thank you and goodbye. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.